Hello everyone. I wasn't going to come today. It's been a rough week. Although it was uplifting talking to Dolores Cahill again last night. COVID-19. Can you hear me now? Sorry. Difficult speaking up today. I have good days and bad days, health-wise. I wasn't going to come here today. I'm glad I did to see all you. Thank my wife for that. I just want to say a couple of things. I got ambushed and spoke to CTV. We'll see what they actually put on about that, about the mask bylaw, and about how they set up all the residents of Edmonton, telling them that they could speak. So they didn't push to extend the meeting on that day, and then suddenly pull the rug from them a couple of days later, and had this emergency vote. I don't know if anybody knows, the bylaw wasn't supposed to end till the end of December. So I'm not sure what the panic was for Iverson. But to be fair, he has done his research on masks. He went and found a study, and if you check out his Twitter account, you will see the study that he's basing his medical knowledge on. It's from Kansas, which is like here. So obviously he couldn't find anywhere in Canada that would support his decision. So, Mr. Iverson, we're not in Kansas anymore. So this idea of this panic decision to force masks on people without any authority or anything else. He doesn't have the authority to enforce medical devices. No local politician does. That is the sole mandate of our health authorities. And it's Dina Hinshaw who's the sole authority on that right now at AHS. And I mean, she's so wonderful at putting masks on. Josh actually has got a public service video on the use of masks where Dana Hinshaw will demonstrate how to use a mask, and Jason Kenny demonstrates the temporary storage of masks in his back pocket. It's insane. So we've got politicians now running our medical lives with no ability to know what the hell they're talking about. Chris Schaefer's the man you want to talk to, and Chris has actually written to Dana Hinshaw and to the city over and over again. Dr. Roger Hodkinson actually spoke to them. His little 5-minute speech has gone around the world 1 billion times now, just about every week. I actually got some of my connections out in Slovenia sending me the video saying, have you seen this? I said, I haven't just seen it, it's my neighbour. So politicians, just on this, the stats clearly show that the instant you mandated masks, more people got sick. They're your own numbers. You didn't need to go to Kansas to try and fudge some numbers. Look at what happened in Edmonton. When people were wearing masks in March and April, the numbers went up. Prior to March and April, from November to the middle of March, when it has now been stated it was clearly circulating the planet. The latest studies say it was circulating the planet in August. So for at least 5 months it circulated with no steps whatsoever, no isolation, no masks, no social distancing, no shutdowns, nothing. And we had 8 reported deaths in Canada. In the next 5 months, with a 3-month hard lockdown, with social distancing, and the Alberta government buying 40 million masks. Everybody remember them? Did you go down to McDonald's or Tim Hortons or A&W for your masks? So during that period, we went from 8 without any restrictions to 9,500 reported deaths. Yeah, it seems like these things are working really well. And we learned so much about that. Everything dropped during the summer. We all went out and got used to life outside, got some vitamin D. And then when we came back, end of the summer, Edmonton mandates masks. And what happened to the cases? They all went up. So it looks just like on the empirical data, if we stay out of Kansas and pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, Mr. Iverson, stop clicking your heels, look at what's going on in the city and see what's really happening with these numbers and cases. The other thing is, I was mentioned on the call-in because I'd actually been refused access to Indigo earlier in the week. And this week I actually went to Costco, and despite having a medical exemption with me, despite being a retired police officer wearing a suit and sitting in the Costco electric chariot that they provide me, and haven't been treated really well by Costco up until this point, I wasn't just stopped, I was ambushed at the door. Normally you get stopped when you're coming in to show your card about 3-4 feet past the door by a person who is a greeter, just a regular person doing their job. I was ambushed by a manager at the door, didn't even get through the door. When was the last time you actually bumped into a manager at the front door in Costco? Any one of you? I've been going 30 years and I've never met a manager inside the store, let alone at the door, stopping people coming in. So Costco obviously knew there was going to be an issue. And then the manager needed backup, so called a second manager. These managers are so free, and I was such a danger to society that they had to call 2 managers to a disabled person. Well done, Costco, with your human rights violations, your breach of contract violations, your breach of the bylaw. Edmonton City, EPS, why aren't you there prosecuting them for allowing people to go in wearing a face shield? Now, I can't wear a face shield because of a brain injury, but why are you allowing people in Costco to actually go in with a face shield when it is explicitly banned in the bylaw? Costco, you are in breach of your business license by asking people to wear a face shield instead of a mask. You have 2 options, Costco. People wear a mask in compliance with the bylaw, or if they're exempt under the bylaw, which is everyone, if you read the bylaw, then they don't wear anything. Wearing a face shield is now, what, it's a medical device? Well, again, Costco, you're not responsible for people's health. You're responsible for your employees' health. And if you're saying these masks and these face shields are medical devices, then I'm assuming you're following all the regulations around making sure your staff are healthy to wear these medical devices and that they have been fit tested and fit for purpose. The face shields don't, because AHS says the face shield is for the protection of the wearer's eyes. They're not to be used as a replacement for a face mask. So Costco, your policy is illegal. Not just on a human rights perspective for disabled people like me and the many others that have contacted me this week, but also from a business license and the bylaws basis. You are committing an offence as a corporation. You're also committing offences under the Provincial Health Act by allowing your managers to get within 6 feet and spread their germs to me. I am at risk from this virus and from every virus because of the condition I have. Every year I have to take care. Guess what? I haven't worn a mask because I can't. I've never been healthier this year than ever before because I mix with more people than ever before. But the people I mix with are you people, not the mask wearers. How many people here have got COVID? None. Okay. How many people of you have tested positive for COVID? None. Now, all the mask people, based on the latest study, 85% of them wore a mask all the time, or most of the time, the ones that tested positive. 71% of them actually wore a mask continuously. I don't know how you wear a mask continuously, but whatever. So they are the ones that are actually the plague carriers. This plague that we're told is circulating the planet right now, the mask wearers are the plague carriers. So they should be isolated at home for our safety. Let us get on with our life. And Edmonton Police, the RCMP, how about starting doing your job? Look at the stats, look at the information. Crimes have been committed. Now, somebody on the Devon Rant and Rave saw my video. Actually, an employee from that Costco location. Very unpleasant little individual who doesn't like disabled people. Maybe you can find him. I won't name him. But he actually asked me, was I wearing a mask when it was like, which video were you watching? But I think he was referring to this. He's going to have to look this one up on Google. It's a cravat. And I wear it because I can't wear a tie. Or rather, I did wear it. It's an RCMP cravat that was given to me many years ago. I'm not going to wear this again. Well, not anywhere. Until my colleagues start doing their job, I will never wear this again. The other thing that I wear all the time, the poppy stays, because the people who died deserve my respect. The other thing that I wear, you won't be able to see it from there, it's an RCMP pin. It actually has the word CARE on it. It's actually from Project CARE. Whenever the RCMP fire up a project, it actually gets the name, gets named with the first letter of the division. Here in Alberta, we're in K Division. So this was Project CARE. This was a pin that relates to the Tom Sveckler prostitute murders. This was when the RCMP used to do their job, when they did CARE. So again, this comes off now. And this was a joint project with EPS. So until EPS and the RCMP start to care about the people again, start to care about the laws, start to care about our health, and start to care about the crimes, this doesn't come back on. I don't really have anything else to say. As I say, I wasn't going to speak today. I suppose I'm glad I am. I'm glad you're all here. Thank you for coming. You're the reason I'm here, and my wife, wherever she is, enough. And Dolores Cahill and all the people fighting over in Europe right now to put a stop to this. The real experts. Dina Hinshaw, by the way, as an admin assistant with a medical degree, not sure where you got that from. I think maybe does Kellogg's give out medical degrees in the cornflakes packets? Because for you to actually dispute and debunk the Great Barrington, when people you're not worthy to be in the same room with, in their thousands, wrote it. Again, let's go look at the public service announcements that the Angry Albertan put together on the use of masks before we start listening to her. But you do need to go and read what she has written on the Alberta Health website. What she's written is basically a setup for you to be vaccinated perpetually for the rest of your life. She basically says that SARS has no immunity over time. It disappears because of a study in Brazil. That's her basis. So again, a bit like Iverson, we can't actually look at what's happening here. We have to go searching the planet to find some evidence. And even then, we don't really understand it. But what she's saying is there is no herd immunity, which is the very basis of vaccination. Does that mean we don't get vaccine now? No, what she's really trying to do is say 100% of the population will be vaccinated, and they will be vaccinated over and over. It won't be mandatory. It already is in the Provincial Health Act. Check the Provincial Health Act, open it up and do a search for Lieutenant Governor. And in there you'll find a section, 38 or 39.3, which states that if you are not vaccinated, the government can assume you have the disease. So that's been there since 2002. And if you go look at that, now think about when you have any other disease that has a vaccine, if you don't get vaccinated, it doesn't really affect your life. You have a choice. With COVID, the government has removed your choice to be vaccinated. Because when they say if you are not vaccinated, you have the disease, or we will infer that, that means they take the steps they currently take for that virus. And what do they do for anybody who's assumed to have the virus or is a close contact with the virus? They isolate you for the rest of your life. So consent by this means is not consent. They're not giving you a choice. They're going to isolate you if the government isn't stopped from what it's doing. And the last thing, in previous weeks, I've actually talked about stop looking at the numbers and the cases that they keep pushing up. Well, actually, now the numbers are growing. It's time to start looking at them again. But this time, don't look at them as infected people, because most of them are not infected people of anything. Most of them have got, at most, a cold. And the majority are just somebody who tested positive with a test that even Alberta Health says is not reliable enough on their own website. But what every single one of those people are is a person who can't go to work for 2 weeks, who can't go to school for 2 weeks, who can't live their life for 2 weeks. More importantly, anybody who's had a close contact with them is now a healthy person who can't go to work for 2 weeks and can't do anything else. I'll give you two examples that happened this week. One is a business down south who one of their staff members got tested positive. They're not sick. They were tested positive. The whole crew, 7 people, now are unable to work, jeopardizing that whole business. A family business that's been owned and operated for some time is now put in jeopardy and may eventually, if they get one more person and it takes out another crew, they will go out of business because of an insane rule that says we're going to isolate people and not look at them. If the government was actually going to do anything, like, has anybody been treated for COVID? We don't treat anybody for COVID. There is no standard of care. The standard of care is go home and wait to get sicker or wait till you're better. That's not a standard of care. That's medical abuse. And every doctor out there who is doing this, you are committing medical abuse. A second incident. And this is now the 4th time my mother-in-law's care home has been put in outbreak. Now, you've heard, some of you will have heard that word before. There was an outbreak at the hospital. There was an outbreak at a care home. What most of you don't realise is what an outbreak is it's as little as one member of staff testing asymptomatically, i.e. nothing. Now, Alberta Health says an asymptomatic test cannot be inferred as an infection. So they say it's not somebody who's infected. But from that one, we actually have, again, for the 4th time, a care home with 275 residents that hardly get out as it is, that are now under full isolation protocols. On one floor, people are actually isolated and can't leave their room, let alone leave the centre or have people visit them, under isolation facility considerations because a staff member tested positive. So that's 275 residents now effectively imprisoned with less rights than prisoners. That is 500 staff now impacted by enhanced protocols of wearing goggles, face shields, gloves, masks, unable to do their job because of the glare from it, unable to do their jobs properly and look after these residents. And then you have all the family members, like my wife and myself, who now can't see my mother-in-law, her mum. And her mother-in-law can't come out to see her grandchildren and her great-grandchildren. All because one staff member tested asymptomatic positive with a test that AHS themselves have said is not good enough. This is what's happening. So yes, have a look at those numbers, because as they grow, that means more and more people who are isolated and locked up like prisoners, who are treated basically like rats in cages. They're treated like vermin. And all the people out there that are wearing masks, you're the ones that are spreading the disease right now. You're the ones that need to stop. Do yourself a favour and ask a nurse what they used to do when they wore a mask when visiting a patient. Do yourself a favour and go and have a look at OH&S, the Canadian Biohazard Safety Guide, and see what it says about masks. They're single use. And that's not single use as in, I'll just wear it for the day. That's for every interaction. Once you take it off, once you touch it, or once you go to visit another patient, you replace the mask. That's not happening now. Every single one of these people, when they finish their shift at the end of the day, go take that mask to AHS, maybe take it over to the university or some other place. The university, I think, has got a level 3 biohazard lab, and ask them to do some tests on it to see how many bacteria and how many viruses are on that mask they've been breathing all day. Not just the back of it where their face is, where their mouth is, but on the other side where it's now spreading that virus out. I wonder how many of them will actually put it back on when they realise just what these petri dishes they have strapped to their face all day. They're not diapers, as everybody says. They're not masks. They're certainly not respirators. They're not designed in any way, shape or form to prevent the spread of anything. Because if they did, the numbers would be coming down, not up. But they go up. And they go up and people are getting sicker because they are literally the perfect petri dish that keeps that mask and all those bacteria at the human body's temperature constantly, nice and moist, nice and wet, and growing that bacteria. Somebody should probably swab Kenny's arse as well from where he sticks that mask in his pocket, because I wonder how many times he changes his trousers. And Dina Hinshaw, maybe if you could give Chris Schaefer a call, he could show you how to use a mask properly and how you actually have to pick it up again once you put it down, not wander around backwards and forwards. And I will pay $100 to the first bylaw officer, the first peace officer that goes and writes Dina Hinshaw a ticket for each one of the breaches in that video. You've got the evidence. Anybody else want to donate to that fund? I see a lot of hands. Anyway, I will. I'm getting tired now. I need a nap.